Morning guys, welcome to another episode of Stalking Shadows. I'm standing above the beautiful Cap River Valley and I've been super excited and been wanting to tell you guys about this story because this was the tipping point where I officially decided to go and register as an outfitter. This specific hunt, after it, I was like, I'm done trying to pick up pieces for other outfitters. So this is where I finally made the decision to go and register as an outfitter in SA. So let's get on with the stories, guys. I was booked to do this hunt, obviously still being freelance guide. And this is also a tip for the young guys out there. I've gone into where outfitters clients don't really know that your PH carries all the costs for a trip, and we only get paid at the end of it because we get paid on a day rate. So to save costs, there was a professional hunter that was coming from the airport side, and he offered to pick up the clients for us. And there were 3 guys coming. This was the Carey family. It was a father and 2 sons, and they were coming out on their first trip to South Africa. So he offered to pick up, and I would meet them at the lodge, because the first lodge was closer to where I was living, and the airport was close to where he was living. And he was one of the permanent staff for this company. So I agreed to this. Hindsight, I should have never done it, and I should have gone to the airport and picked up the clients with him. But what happened was, the guys had done a long trip from the States. They rocked up at the airport and their weapons didn't arrive from Johannesburg to East London. So instead of that guard sitting there waiting for the next flights for the weapons to arrive, he hopped in his truck with the clients and brought them to the lodge, expecting the weapons would be delivered to the lodge, instead of finding out, making sure that the correct addresses were on there. So all this happened. Guys are super excited. They've arrived day 1 and they've got no weapons, which is fine. We've got our weapons that we can back up with, and in case theirs don't arrive. But now you've added the extra stress of, you've done 16-hour flight from the States to South Africa, then you've done another flight, and now your beloved rifle hasn't arrived for this dream safari that you've got. So I was on the phone at the airports, and what happened was, being this company, like I've explained previously, we hunted 2 different lodges. The main lodge was near the airport or closer to the airport, and that was the address for the company. It's where its original base was. But what happened is, when the company grew, they moved to another lodge, and that's what they were using. But unfortunately, the addresses on the weapons were the lodge in the opposite direction, and I got contacted by the courier company to say that we're on our way, we can't find where the lodge is. So I asked him which way you're driving, to give him directions, to figure out that he had gone in the complete opposite direction with the weapons. And it was late at night, so he headed back to the airport to get them locked up in their strong rooms there. So we had to start day 1 with no weapons. And the tricky part about this whole thing is they didn't want to release the weapons to another professional hunter that was picking up there. They needed the clients to come and collect them, and it was only a 5-day hunt or 6-day hunt, 7 nights type thing. It was very short. These guys had bought a package, and they were misled with their package. They were bought a cull package. The agent again told them that all female animals in Africa have horns, so why shoot males? Rather buy this cheap deal. And when the guys got there and we were explaining to them and showing them a couple of the mounts on the walls, and I think it was for an extra $100 or an extra $150, they could shoot a trophy package, 5 animals, and rather have 5 quality animals than the 8 animal cull package that they were sold. So again, had to sit there, explain to the guys everything, rolled it over to a 5 animal trophy hunt and got that all squared away. And we started our first day hunting. And this is the famous thing when guys, when they book, we cannot guarantee the weather, guys. We always say, oh, it's our winter's our dry season and dry period, and we don't get much winter rain. But unfortunately for these guys, we got the most rain in, I think, in history in our winter period. I've got some photos to show you that we got completely flooded out, which was a complete game changer for this whole trip. So day one, we started, I hunted with the 2 sons and the father went with the other PH. So we headed off to my uncle's place after Impala, and this really got the the blood going. It was pouring with rain. We're trying to make things work, and we eventually got a shot and an opportunity on Impala, and it almost seemed like everything was against us with this whole thing, from the rifles not coming to the weather not playing ball. And we got set up on our first Impala, and Mike was up first, and Mike made a cracker of a shot, which I thought was a cracker of a shot. Down went the Impala in the pouring rain, and we started walking up there. It was Mike shooting with my old 30-06, and with that, this damn Impala jumps up and takes off in the pouring rain. So rain, blood. Luckily enough, the dog was close enough. I put the dog on it. He chased it really, really hard, but we managed to get him in some thick thorn cover, and he went and stood there and fought with the dog a bit, and Mike managed to put another cracking shot on him. After he'd crossed like 2 rivers that had been dry for years, now all of a sudden we're wading through water which is knee deep. So we get our Impala, all excited. We take some photos in the rain. We all drenched. Get the pickup there, and we try load up. We load up, and what do? We get the truck stuck. Now it's in the pouring rain. I think everyone's like, their boots feel like you're walking in a drum of water, and we spend hours on trying to get this damn truck out of the clay. But eventually we get it out. We get back to my uncle's place. We get set up, sit around the fire. We get dried off as best as we can, have some lunch, and then we decide, no, we're going to try again. And as we want to go out again, the rain just comes down belting. So we decide to call it a day. And we hop in the truck, trackers and dogs and everything. We're all wet in the front of the truck, and we head home. En route home, guys, we end up, the road that we had to travel had all these little valleys, drifts as we call them, where the water crossings are. And we get to the first drift, and I go to the guys, man, this is like getting a little bit dodgy. The water's coming up over the tires. It's getting, we get through the first one, we get through the second one, and we get to the third one, and here we find a woman with the cops and everything, and her car is stuck in the middle of the road, drowned, and she's left it there, and she's managed to get out. So I stand there around, I'm like, Guys, the river's not going to get any lower. It's only going to get higher. We need to get across this. And I eventually waded, because obviously I'm wet. I waded out into the water, walked next to the car, because there was enough space for me to get past, but I didn't want to just get bogged next to it. I needed to feel what the surface was like. So took my walk in. The water came up to my waist, and we took a vote, and we all said, let's go for it. So off we went in the truck, and we managed to scoot past this car. And when we got back to the lodge, again, the entrance of the lodge, the same river comes past the front of the lodge, and it was quite deep, and we made it across. Got back, his dad had got back Stan. So Stan, Dave, and Mike headed in for nice hot showers. We got all fed up, a nice big feast, and the rain just carried on all night. So now we had to try and plan our morning, and I had to get back to my uncle's place, because that's where I was going to do most of my hunting impala, warthog, kudu, and that was the plan. So today I went off and hunted with Dave, and Mark went and hunted with his dad, with the other professional hunter. So I can't remember if Stan got anything on his first day. I'm sure he did. I can only tell you what I got with the guys that were hunting with me. So day 2, they went out again, and Dave was with me. We went out. We got, I think we were lucky this day. We got an impala, and funny enough, Dave's impala went and fell down stone dead where Mark had shot his impala. So we used the same setup and took a photograph in the exact same spot, which was quite funny. And that was about it we got that day with Dave. The guys were lucky with the other PH. They each had got a kudu, really nice kudu, hunting on another property. But I forgot to tell you, this morning before we went out, the river crossing to get out the property was so full that the tractors couldn't even get across to fetch lodge staff. It was a bit of a nightmare. We managed to find a route through the veld out a top gate where we didn't have to cross as many water crossings, but it was slippy and slidey, and we managed to make our way out for this specific day of hunting. So we had a bit of sunshine and a bit of rain, and it was one of those days. We got day 2 out of the way. Day 3, I think Mark went with Stan again, and they hunted with the other PH. I had Dave again, and we went off to my uncle's place. So we started in my favorite spot looking for kudu. First bit of sunshine we've got, and with luck, a beautiful warthog boar walked out, and Dave was shooting with his 7mm, and I had him all set up with his 7mm, and he squeezed off that shot pin perfectly, and the warthog boar fell right there in the spot. And my tracker goes, "What did you shoot at?" I said, "No, we shot at the warthog boar." I said, "Didn't you see it?" He says, No, I was still busy looking for kudu over there, and you guys fired a shot here." So I pointed where he had to go, and he made his walk across, and he came back with this beautiful warthog. We took some awesome pictures with Dave. The pressure was off. He had 2 animals down. We were after a kudu now, and this was the last day that we could hunt kudu in this area. Remember, his dad and Mark had got their kudu, and I think Stan had got a warthog this day with the other professional hunter. So we headed out, and we went into a spot where I don't usually see a lot of kudu. It made like a big basin above a dam. It was always quite a tricky area to hunt, and with that we spotted a really nice kudu bull. Last day, sun out, late afternoon, and we had to get the pickup onto the backside of this hill and do our approach over and stalk over the top, and then I would get Dave to shoot down into the basin at this kudu with a few cows that we got there. So we made our stalk worked out beautifully. We came over the top of the hill. The kudu was still feeding next to a big prickly pear tree, and set Dave up, and boom, he made a pin perfect shot. His kudu humped up, went 20 yards, stood there, started swaying, and hit the ground. So now the trick was we had to get the truck over where there's no roads and try and get this kudu out of this area. So we managed to chop our way through the bushes. I got as close as we could, myself, my tracker, and Dave, and I think one other hand managed to get the kudu on the back of the truck, and we made our way back to my uncle's place at his skinning facilities, where the tracker proceeded to skin off the kudu. And that was our day 3. So that one we got out of the bag, and off we went back to the lodge, finding our way through all the driffies. Luckily they've come down so we could get there, because the next morning early we were heading off to the second lodge. So when we got to the second lodge, this is where we predominantly, like I said, we hunted blessbuck, and then we were going to go off to go shoot springbuck. So this specific day we got there, the other professional hunter had a spot for us to all go shoot blessbuck, and we went to go shoot blessbuck that day. So I had Mike and Stan with me. We were all hunting the same property, helping each other out. And then Dave was with the other PH, and if I'm not mistaken, Mike shot his blessbuck first with me, bang on. I think he came out of the 300 Weatherby mag, if I'm not mistaken. Big cheese grater on the end, muzzle brake. So I'd have my fingers in my ears, one of those. Smoked it. Took some great pictures of that. Then Stan got his, and we got some great pictures of that. And then Dave was the last one, and we got a beautiful picture of the guys, all three of them. You know, nice father-son trip behind this blessbuck. And then headed back to the lodge. We were down to, I think, Mike needing a warthog, and we had to go for springbuck. And this is where the frustration kicks in a little bit as a guide, because you are hampered by where you can hunt. If you are not the outfitter, you got to get permission on these places. And with all the rain and stuff, the farmers weren't willing to have us come and drive on their properties, which is understandable. But you've only got 1 or 2 days left to hunt these species. And we kind of got reined in, and we couldn't actually leave the property. So now the clients are getting a little bit upset because, you know, they've paid for a package. And the thing is with a package, guys, if you don't get the animals on your package, you don't get reimbursed. Other outfitters will let you come back and complete your package within a certain time period, but there is no being reimbursed. So what we had to do in the end to finish up the trip, to give the guys a really, really cool experience in the end, was we had to hunt on the property that we were stuck on, and the only thing was available was another impala. So we had to take the guys out where we could and shoot a second impala with them. I know Dave shot one, Mark shot his. We got a nice picture of Mark with his, and Stan got his. So unfortunately Mark didn't get a warthog on this trip, and he's a little bit bleaked about that, but he got a beautiful kudu, got a beautiful blessbuck. The guys did European mounts with most of this stuff and shipped it all back home. But what a crazy experience this trip was, where everything was against us, from rifles not being delivered, weather not playing ball. And these are things that you got to think of when you come out. Unfortunately, you can't guarantee everything runs smoothly. This is Africa. Things change. We got to adapt. And I think we did adapt to the best of our abilities for the guys to have a great safari with the crappy conditions that we had to deal with. So I think a lot of young guys need to, those that are watching these videos and enjoying the stories that I tell, it's not a fantasy, it's not a romance, it's hard work. You got to think out of the box. You got to try and be as prepared as you can for all of these things. The unknown is the most difficult thing to plan for. But if you've got your stuff prepared in your truck, you've got your areas all set up for you, and really, really try and keep your clients as happy as possible the whole way through the trip. That is where it's the most important, because it's the memories that they leave with are the ones that draw them to come back. It's not shooting the biggest and the best and the most, record book trophies. You get guys out there that come out for that. But 99.9% of the guys, it's the experience and the relationships they make with their guides which draw them back to Africa. So let's leave it there, guys. Till next time. Cheers.